Hello everyone. Today I'm going to share a little bit about identifying and developing leaders based on my experience in Young Living. And before we start, I need to show you this very important slide for 20 seconds. Okay, 20 seconds is over. Now let me introduce myself. My name is Eva. I'm one of the leaders from Indonesia and it is such an honor to be here. But I have to let you know that English is not my first language, so hopefully everybody can understand me pretty well. Now, let's get into this topic. Identifying and developing leaders. Okay, first, let's talk about identifying leaders. I have 3 clues that I can share about how to identify leaders. So go get your magnifying glass now and start to pay close attention to your members. I'm sure that every market has their own culture in doing Young Living business, but we can all agree that most members choose to join Young Living because they fell in love with the products. Well, that's my story back in 2014. I didn't even know that it's a direct selling company, let alone care about the business. I just knew that the products are amazing and I have to share my experience with others so they can have Young Living in their lives as well. Plain and simple. But now I'm aware that a lot of my leaders start with the same intention. And that's how I know that it is the first clue of identifying leaders. We need to ask this to ourselves. Why are we doing this? Money or purpose? When our focus is about wealth or money, we will have the instinct to push our members to reach certain sales just to get the volume and bonus. There's a big chance that we don't even care about the rules and well-being of the company, as long as we make the sales, right? I mean, seriously? Is that the culture that we want to bring for Young Living? Please don't. But when our focus is for the purpose, let people know the value of Young Living and use the products, we will see the growth of sales as an upside. If it happens to grow during our time of sharing, bringing Young Living into their homes, we'll be absolutely happy. Because hey, that means that we are helping people. So those people that are now our members, they will always have Young Living in their lives and we will make sure of that because that's our focus, purpose. Now, moving on to the second clue, and that is, what are we? Salesperson or educators? Let's face it. Once we're doing Young Living business, we become salesperson. We were clueless, or at least I was. Most of us only want to know how to sell products. But for educators, it's not just about selling products. We have to make sure that we do it with full knowledge, not only about the products, but the full history, the business, the commission plan, leadership, and everything else that follows. We need to be able to explain why you shouldn't use Steve's oil and pick your nose at the same time. Not just because it's super hot oil, but why is it hot? What's inside it? And all education that comes with it. So, we are not just a salesperson, but we are also educators. Call it mentoring or coaching, but the point is, we are preparing ourselves to educate better. We gain knowledge, know stuff that maybe others don't, and share them. We educate our members. But how to unlock these potentials in our members? How about we start with these questions? Who are always there in classes or workshops? Who are always asking lots of questions or getting books? Who are the ones being so independent in learning that they know stuff that maybe you didn't? And as educators, They are willing to share their knowledge with no hesitation. So that's the second one. Okay then, now the third and last clue. The one I consider the most important is this: integrity. Leadership is a skill. But yes, there are some people who have these qualities running through their veins. But I believe that true leaders are the ones who studied, enhanced their skills, and never stopped learning. And integrity is one of the most important mindsets in a leader. But what is integrity? Now, I'm gonna start sounding like Instagram quotes. Integrity is doing the right thing even if no one is watching. Integrity is understanding that there's a bigger picture and why we need to follow the rules in Young Living. Integrity is not focusing on our ego and put one foot in the purpose of the company. As leaders, we have to be the bridge that connects our members and the company. Embrace that sense of ownership. We have to find a common ground and help members to understand why Young Living do this and that, why we mustn't overclaim, why we can't sell in marketplaces. But how do we identify these qualities? Well, we can try with the basics. How many of us actually read the policies? You know that thin book we got in our starter kit? You can find it in virtual office too, by the way. Well, I'm not asking you to interrogate your teams about the policies, but just see if you can spot those who are trying to do the business in the right way by instinct. Find those who think first and act later, not think after getting email from conduct and education. Find the ones who follow the rules because they know it's for the sake of Young Living. Think of it this way. We don't park near a fire hydrant because we are afraid of getting tickets, but because we know that we're blocking the firemen to get the water in case of a fire, right? Now, what do you think could happen if we post something overclaim on the internet? Who will get in trouble then? What do you think could be the worst case scenario for us, for Young Living? So, I believe that integrity is the most important value to identify because it will determine the future of the company, hence the future of us in Young Living. Okay, there you go, the 3 clues. Now, let's help them to develop and also grow ourselves in the process. There are 4 things that we can put in our Developing Leaders menu. The first one is this tiny thing we all know called communication. Remember this, our members don't work for us. We are not their boss. We can't just boss them around, tell them what to do, and hope they can instantly respect us. We have to earn it. When they respect the leaders, they will listen. So it all comes down to this. How we communicate, how we can deliver our intention without misunderstanding is important. And you know what form of communication that we all use frequently now? Text. This is just one example. Communication in text are more challenging because people can't hear the tone of our voice. They won't know if we smiled or frowned. So it's imperative to learn how to communicate well in text messages. As simple as giving emojis or whatever is necessary to show feelings in our text, because texts don't show feelings. In real life, pay close attention to the tone of our voices, our body languages, eye contacts. Yes, it is personal. Spare some time to know our members so we know how to communicate well with them. But in some cases, we can set out a different approach, especially for the leaders, because it all comes back to responsibilities which are already on our shoulders once we are silvers. And the higher our ranks are, the more we are expected from everyone. So there's no room for mistakes. Now, we move on to the second one. The next step in developing leaders is this. Emotions are overrated. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have emotions, but we need to keep level-headed for whatever comes our way. Leaders in Young Living will face things like drama between members, complaints about Young Living, facing rumors and bad publicity about Young Living, and many, many more. And we cannot avoid that. So, we need to teach ourselves not to get emotionally involved so we can think straight, find a solution, and not become the ones who spread more panics or complaints. We need to know how to be logical, poised, and act swiftly. If they're panicking about something, maybe some hoax they got from the internet, we need to be the one who calms them down, help them find answers, and not join the panic. So, let's learn to keep our emotions in check and keep our head clear to help our members. Then, we move on to our third step, which is enable. Have you ever heard this Chinese proverb before? Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. I think it's very deep. So, in order to help our leaders develop, we have to restrain ourselves from helping them all the time or give them straight answers, but rather tell them where to find answers, how to find credible sources on the internet, what books to read, or what kinds of classes is good for them. For example, when a leader asks for my opinion about something, I'll ask them more questions like, what do you think? What do you think is the best solution? What are the options? And so on. We can't always be there to help our leaders, so they will need to fend for themselves in the future and be responsible for whatever decision they make. So, enable them. Trust them. Even if you're a control freak, just trust your leaders. So, that's the third one. Now, our fourth and last thing, and that is collaboration, not competition. I have to be honest here. Some members see other teams as competitors. It doesn't have to be a bad thing as long as we can keep it healthy. But if we can see past that, we can actually gain better results with collaboration. To develop, we need to collaborate with other team members, our sister lines, our cross lines. We need good relationships with other teams. We can try and do classes together, events, challenges. We will never know how other people's experience can bring so much to our way of thinking. It's all about enhancing skills to be competent, and we need experience to be competent. After all, we all live in the same boat called Young Living. So, in order to keep the boat floating, we need to collaborate to reach Young Living's vision together. Yes, we, as in all Young Living members around the globe. I think that's all I can share right now. Here's the quick recap. 3 clues in identifying leaders and 4 steps to developing leaders. Just remember this. There will always be people who dislike our leadership style even if we try to please them. But that's not what leadership's about, okay? Leadership isn't about making everyone happy. Leadership is about being responsible and empowering others. And please, keep this in mind. We are not just in essential oil business, but we are in the business of changing lives. That's all from me. Hope you can find this helpful. Be safe and stay healthy. Thank you.